All right, excited about this week and going on the road for the first time with this team and the challenges that are presented with that. Going to play a ACC opponent that's extremely well coached and has played well in a lot of big games, like I think Clemson 17-12 just a year ago. So we're going to have our hands full, and these guys play really tough and aggressive, and so excited about that challenge. And our guys coming together and getting ready to go on the road after a great week of practice. In preparation is the challenge.
Questions? Lane, this is a veteran team with a lot of guys who have played a lot of road games. What sort of things do you need to see from a team in that first road game and the lead up into that road game?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to that. When you mentioned that a veteran team that's played a lot of road games, they haven't necessarily played together, so there's a challenge with that. But they're not true freshmen, so that's a good thing. But you got to just weather storms when you're on the road, and it's just not what you're used to. You're used to having. It's not just games here at home. We scrimmage in there. We practice in there, we walk through there, and so you're going to a total new place that haven't been, and so a lot. It's just why obviously the crowd plays into home field advantages at certain places, but also there's just familiarity that people are naturally more comfortable where they're used to. It's like being in their house versus a hotel. So we just got to do a really good job preparing. And every year, every team's different. We've done this well before. A couple years ago, went to another ACC opponent in Georgia Tech, and we're concerned about that. And we played really well and stopped the run and ran the ball. So we need to continue what we're doing in the turnover margin, +3 for the season, and pitching shutouts the last 2 weeks, and go from there.
On Saturday, you were asked kind of where you thought the defense was and what they needed, but on the flip side, obviously the offense is putting up points, but just internally with what y'all had through camp, is the offense where y'all were expecting it to be, or ahead of schedule, on schedule? Just kind of your thoughts.
Yeah, it's hard to complain. I don't know how many series, but what first teams really played in every series they've played outside of an end of a half scenario. They've scored touchdowns in every series and one field goal, I think. So, that's really good. And then the one field goal, Trey moved his feet on a 4th and 1 that we were going to make. So they've done a lot of really good things, but the challenges will get harder, the opponents will get harder, and so we just got to continue to push on.
Take a question, Todd. Kind of going off that first question there, you guys obviously now being a top 5 team here, how do you think that your guys are going to be when it comes to playing with such a big target on their back, and how prepared do you think they are for that?
Yeah, right or wrong, I've not even discussed rankings with them or where we've moved, or because that means nothing, and they've been talked to extensively from me about how rankings in general mean nothing, but I don't say this week we're this, and now you're top 5, whatever, because it doesn't. And the rankings move around when people don't even know who played who and who's necessarily good that you've played, and so we try to stay away from all of that and focus on getting better and focusing on what we need to work on.
And you talked about the pass defense on Saturday. You mentioned it as a little sloppy. How did you kind of address that with your guys, and is that something that you're concerned about heading into this week?
Yeah, I just thought it was sloppy, and it was on us, like it was just miscommunication or miscoverages or who has who, and we screwed up a rush one time where we let the guy scramble by not having, the edge. So I really thought after watching it probably wasn't as bad as I felt during the game, and it's easy to fix. Should be easy to fix, I told him. It's not like there was physical issues where, we couldn't get something done physically. It was just mental breaks and lapses, especially as the score got lopsided.
Lane, your team's had huge leads pretty much the entire season so far, yet it doesn't appear that you've had any issues really with complacency or boredom or that kind of thing. Do you agree with that? And if so, what do you attribute that to?
I do agree with that for the most part. I mean, it's 31-0, and there's 3 minutes left, and we're off the field. We get a defensive pass interference in a third and 25, and we give up 19 yards on a bubble that they're kind of giving up on. If we just tackle it, they're going to punt. So outside of that, I think they have done a really good job of not having lapses, not looking at the scoreboard and performing off the scoreboard. And I think I would accredit that to guys that are in the right mindset. And our coaches have done a lot of work to try to get that done. So if we're in those situations, they understand. And I think there's a lot of competition. That helps. When the other guy going in, is playing well too, or the other guy that might go in for you, when you go back in, you do better. So competition helps also.
You were talking about the road challenge, obviously going on the road for the first time, but with 8 quarters of same Wake Forest up to this point, what do you feel like schematically is going to present y'all the biggest challenge, aside from just being the road team?
Yeah, I think their quarterback's a good player. Their O-lines played a lot together, and looks really good to me. And so we need to play good on defense up front and limit explosive plays. This will be the best passing team by far that we've played. On the other side, I think they have really good defensive linemen and do a good job making you kind of drive the distance of the field. And so we're going to have to play really well in all phases.
Coach, I thought your run game was better Saturday, but still just between the tackles. You scheme that just based on what you see from the defense gives you as far as whether it's outside run or inside run, week to week?
Yeah, I mean, a lot goes into that, whether it's matchups, whether it's scheme, personnel things. For instance, last week we felt we had good strength matchups inside against the opponent, so you saw a lot of direct inside runs. So a lot goes into that every week, what we end up doing.
How'd Jordan feel after the game, and I guess that may be leading into today with his first act?
Yeah, I thought Jordan looked good, looked fast in the game. We obviously limited his plays. So today's just a walkthrough. So I don't got anything for you.
Coach, a lot of people or a lot of coaches say you can't peak your team mentally, but 3 or 4 times a year. What's your response to that type of philosophy of getting your team ready to play?
I don't believe in that. I think if you think that way, you're setting yourself up for failure, because then you're like, well, we've already got up 3 times, so if somebody says you can only get up 3 times, then we certainly can again. So I don't believe in that. Everybody's different. Every team's different. A lot of it's mentality and choices that you make. Whether you kind of give in to, well, we've already been up, so I'm not going to do it again. So it's really just how much do you want to compete?
We'll go back up top. How much of a difference have Zach Arnett and Joe Judge kind of made to this staff based on all their experience and what have you thought of the job they've done so far for your team?
Yeah, I thought they've done a great job. We have a really what we call outfield, of outside of the 10 assistants. I think we're really strong there, as strong as I've been around, from a knowledge standpoint on both sides and special teams. So they've been very valuable.
What do you think of Austin Simmons? What's your confidence level in him as how he's kind of progressed and grown?
I think Austin's done a really good job. And continues to develop, and I think he's played well and actually a few inches away from some big plays, whether it's been his throw off a tiny bit or a receiver not making the play for him.
Are there any other questions for Coach? Last one for me. Do you expect kind of this week to be a good measuring stick for you to kind of see where this program is at playing up against a Power 4, I guess we could call it, team this week on the road?
I do. You got a Power 4 ACC team, and better than the first two opponents and on the road. So I think this is a really good measuring stick for where we're at. Excited to see.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, guys. Thank you.